In 1925, Percy Fawcett entered the Amazon and never returned. On April 20th, 1925, Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett, his son Jack, and their companion Raleigh Rimmel stepped off the edge of the known world. Their destination was not marked on any map, for it existed only in whispers. The lost city of Zay, deep in the Amazon jungle. Fawcett's notebook spoke of it in careful riddles, half-expressed truths written as if to shield its secrets from careless eyes. The men carried little beyond rifles, machetes, and their journals. Fawcett insisted that heavy equipment would doom them. The jungle demanded silence, not conquest. His final letter, mailed from the Brazilian frontier town of Cuiabá, brimmed with optimism. "We shall return, and we shall bring proof of what the jungle hides." But between his lines lay symbols, cryptic notations that baffled even his closest friends. Scholars later studied them as if they were fragments of some unbroken code, compass bearings that never aligned, references to rivers that could not be found, a recurring sigil shaped like a serpent swallowing its tail. As they pushed deeper into the Amazon, villagers reported seeing them pass, tall Englishmen with sunburned faces, their boots heavy in the mud. Then the trail stopped. No further sighting, no message, only silence. Months later, Fawcett's diary, or a copy of it, surfaced among his belongings left behind. Within its pages, written in his precise hand, were entries that spoke in half-light. The path narrows. Green walls close in. Still, the signs remain. To this day, no one has deciphered what those signs truly were. And so began one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century. An explorer swallowed by the jungle, leaving only codes that may have led him, and others, to a city that might not exist at all. The Amazon was no place for certainty. Its rivers coiled like serpents, changing their course with each season, erasing paths as quickly as they were made. For Fawcett and his companions, each step deeper into the green labyrinth was a step further away from the world that could remember them. Villagers in Mato Grosso recalled their passing. 3 Englishmen, pale beneath their sunburn, carrying few supplies, but speaking of a city of stone hidden beneath the canopy. Fawcett, tall and severe, radiated conviction. He did not ask for directions. He declared he already knew the way. Yet those who overheard his conversation spoke of strange words, half Portuguese, half symbols, as if he were testing a language no one else could understand. His diary reflects this unease. One page describes the cries of howler monkeys at dusk, a chorus that sounded, he wrote, like gates of the underworld opening. Another notes the sudden disappearance of birds, leaving the jungle oppressively silent. He interpreted these as signs, as if the very wilderness were guiding him. But the jungle guides no one. It consumes. Travelers spoke of quicksand disguised as firm ground, of rivers that vanished underground, of tribes both hostile and watchful, and always the insects, clouds of them, devouring flesh, fever, and sleep. The last villagers to see Fawcett alive reported that he and his men set off along a narrow trail, swallowed by foliage that closed like a curtain behind them. They carried a single horse and a few mules. Days later, when locals retraced their path, there was nothing. No tracks, no abandoned gear, as if the forest itself had rolled back to conceal their intrusion. What the diary notes from this stretch are tantalizing. Coded coordinates, repeating symbols of a serpent, and a single line scrawled in haste. It is close now. Then, abruptly, the writing stops. When Fawcett's belongings were examined years later, scholars uncovered not a clear map, but fragments of a puzzle. His diary, worn, water-stained, its leather cover cracked, contained entries that shifted between ordinary travel notes and cryptic notations. At first glance, they seemed like compass bearings. Numbers scattered in the margins, drawn in hurried strokes. But the bearings, when plotted, pointed to rivers that did not exist or to forests where no trail could be found. Then there were the symbols. A serpent devouring its tail, triangles with dots at their center, spirals nested within one another. Fawcett returned to these again and again, as though charting a path not through geography, but through meaning. Linguists debated whether the code was personal shorthand, a cipher known only to him, or something more arcane. Some suspected influence from theosophy, a mystical philosophy that fascinated Fawcett in his later years. Others argued the symbols resembled indigenous markings, twisted through his own imagination. One passage in particular chilled researchers. When the stone mouth opens, the jungle will fall silent. There the city lies, beneath roots older than men. Was this metaphor or memory of something he had already glimpsed? The code remains unbroken. Attempts to decode it have only deepened the mystery. Each supposed solution yields contradictions, coordinates that lead to empty ground, phrases that collapse into nonsense. Yet the diary's structure suggests deliberation, as if its author wanted seekers to wander the jungle as he had, never reaching the end. To this day, some believe the diary is not a guide at all, but a trap. A lure meant to draw others into the green abyss, where countless have vanished searching for Fawcett's City of Z. If so, the explorer's greatest discovery may not have been a city, but a labyrinth of ink and deception.
This map is incomplete. Are you sure we have the right one?
It shows something different.
In the months and years after Fawcett vanished, stories began to spread like vines across Brazil. Every village seemed to have a tale. Every trader claimed to know someone who had seen the Englishman alive. Yet the deeper one looks, the clearer it becomes. Truth and invention twisted together until they were indistinguishable. One group of rubber trappers swore they had seen Fawcett and his party being held captive by a remote tribe, forced to march deeper into the forest. Another claimed the explorers had been killed in a dispute over gifts and honor. Still others whispered that Fawcett had abandoned his companions, choosing to live among the tribes as a hidden king. But with each account came contradictions. Dates clashed, locations overlapped. One witness described a tall man with piercing eyes, but placed him in a village where no outsiders had ever set foot. Another insisted Fawcett had left behind crates of gold, though no such crates were ever found. The diary itself seemed to inspire these tales, for the coded entries lent credence to fantasies of hidden treasure and lost empires. The most unsettling testimonies came from tribes themselves. Some denied ever seeing Fawcett. Others spoke of strangers passing briefly, sick and weary, leaving nothing behind. A few hinted at violence, though always as if recounting a story secondhand. One elder, decades later, told researchers, "The forest took them. That is all. The forest keeps what it wants." As years passed, the lies became part of the legend. Each rumor drew new expeditions, treasure hunters, scholars, soldiers, many of whom vanished themselves. In the end, the jungle was the only witness, and it spoke only in silence. Fawcett's coded diary remained the sole tether to his fate, and like the jungle, it seemed to devour truth, leaving only shadows behind. For Percy Fawcett, the jungle was not chaos, but a cipher. He believed that beneath the choking vines and rivers lay a pattern, evidence of an ancient civilization older than any in Europe. He called it simply Z. To skeptics, it was folly. To Fawcett, it was destiny. In his coded notes, he described fragments that he believed pointed to this city. Shards of pottery buried where no village had ever stood. Strange inscriptions on stones along forgotten river banks. Mounds too symmetrical to be natural. One entry read, "The earth remembers. The jungle hides, but does not erase." Fawcett's conviction grew from more than evidence. He claimed to have spoken with tribes who told stories of a great city of stone, swallowed by the forest centuries ago. They spoke of towers that touched the sky, of causeways buried under roots, of a people who vanished when the land itself turned against them. Critics dismissed these tales as myths twisted by a desperate mind. But Fawcett saw in them a consistency that could not be ignored. His sketches showed tall gates, stairways carved from single blocks of granite, symbols that mirrored those he scribbled in his diary. Yet there was always doubt. Was Z a place of stone and mortar, or an idea that consumed him? Some believed he invented it, a mirage to give purpose to his endless expeditions. Others thought he had indeed glimpsed something extraordinary, but cloaked it in riddles so no one else could steal his prize. When he vanished, Z became more than a destination. It became a myth unto itself. Countless expeditions followed, driven by the promise of what his diary might reveal. Each one hoped to find the city. Most found only ruin, disease, and silence. And still the question endures. Was Fawcett's Z ever real? Or did the explorer vanish into a city that exists only in ink and longing? Fawcett's disappearance did not end his story. It ignited a fever that spread far beyond Brazil. Explorers, scholars, adventurers, all drawn by the same lure, the coded diary and the promise of Z. For nearly a century, men and women set out into the jungle, convinced they could solve the riddle he left behind. Some carried Fawcett's actual notes, smuggled and copied through hands both honest and dishonest. Others clung to second-hand retellings, rumors reshaped into maps. Each expedition seemed to end the same way: silence, equipment abandoned, journals left unfinished, lives consumed by the green labyrinth. By the mid-20th century, Fawcett's son's widow accused treasure hunters of exploiting his memory. And yet the obsession deepened. In universities, researchers attempted to decode his cipher, convinced it hid precise coordinates. Archaeologists debated whether fragments of ancient Amazonian settlements proved he had been right. Skeptics countered that his symbols were nothing more than fantasies, products of a restless imagination. But it was not only scholars. Dreamers and opportunists alike flocked to the idea. A missing city, a vanished explorer, and a diary filled with riddles. It was the perfect myth. Some say more lives have been lost searching for Z than were lost in Fawcett's original expedition. The most haunting legacy, however, is psychological. Fawcett's diary seemed to infect those who study it. Readers describe the compulsion to return, to trace the serpent symbols, to compare coordinates again and again, as if the ink itself whispers that the truth is just beyond reach. One archaeologist admitted, "I felt I was reading not a journal, but a spell." Whether or not the city of Z exists, the obsession it inspired is real. A labyrinth without walls, drawing seekers ever deeper into the jungle of the mind. The trail of Percy Fawcett ends not with discovery, but with silence. His diary breaks off mid-breath, his footprints dissolve into mud, his voice swallowed by the endless canopy. Yet the myth of Z lingers, not as a city built of stone, but as a shadow cast across time. Some believe Fawcett found what he sought, a place hidden from the world, and chose never to return. Others insist he perished, consumed by hunger, disease, or the blade of some unseen hand. But the truth is quieter, more haunting. The jungle does not kill with violence alone. It erases. It leaves no bones, no echoes, only silence, as if those who enter were never meant to be remembered. Even today, there are reports of strange ruins glimpsed through the trees, perfect angles where none should exist, pathways of stone buried under roots centuries thick. Modern archaeology has uncovered evidence of vast pre-Columbian settlements in the Amazon. Networks of roads and mounds that suggest civilizations long thought impossible. Perhaps Fawcett was right all along. Perhaps his code pointed to truths that science is only now beginning to confirm. But the diary remains unsolved. Its final symbols lie stubborn, defiant, a riddle that resists closure. To read it is to feel the pull of the forest, as if each line is an invitation. Come and see. Follow me into the green silence, and so the city endures, not in stone, but in imagination. Each reader becomes an explorer, each whisper a compass. In the end, Z is not just a lost place. It is the echo of a man who believed so deeply in mystery that he became one himself.